everyone, welcome back to my Earth Friendly Kitchen. I'm Maria, your host, and today we're going to be making some fish tacos. They are a really easy and quick midweek dinner or even on the weekend. They're super flavorful, very fast but very low cost. So we're just going to get started. My oven is preheated to 375 Fahrenheit, and I'm just going to spray my pan here so that the fish doesn't stick. This is just canola spray. And then I'm going to use my tongs so I don't have to worry about washing my hands. I'm using 2 pieces of tilapia. This is about 1 pound of tilapia. It costs about $5 for both pieces. And tilapia is a really great fish because it doesn't have a ton of flavor on its own, so it really absorbs its own flavor. And then I'm just going to spray the tops of them as well. And that's going to be useful in a little bit. So we're just going to put this here for now because now we're going to create this spice blend that's going to go onto the fish. So I'm going to be using about a tablespoon. Now, not all of this is going to go on the fish, mind you. This is going to make quite a bit, and I'll save the rest for another dish later. About a tablespoon of chili powder. So I think I'll probably just use whatever's left in this jar because it's a little bit over. But it's about a tablespoon of chili powder. And I'm also going to use a tablespoon of paprika. This is smoked paprika, but regular paprika is fine too. This is just what I have. Again, we're all about not going out for special things in case you don't have them. A teaspoon of ground coriander. Now remember, coriander is the seed of the cilantro plant. So if you don't like cilantro, you can omit it. That's fine. About a teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of onion powder, and a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then we're going to do about a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of pepper. Because we have the chili powder in there, it's already got a little bit of spice, so you don't want to add too much in there. And then we're just going to mix this up, blend it all nice. Again, this is not going to be all going on the fish. You can use this for another dish. This can go even on like ground beef tacos or chicken. Oh, this would be really good if you like grilled chicken. Put this on there, a nice smoky flavor. Smells so good. Why dirty another dish? Why just use what you got? All right, so then we're going to take the fish and we're really just going to be very generous with it. You know, you always want to kind of season from high above. It's one of the tricks that you'll learn from a lot of chefs will do this, because if you sprinkle here, you might over season one part of the fish versus another, or whatever you are trying to season. I'm just going to flip these over and do the other side. And, you know, this way you get like a really nice even coat. Because if you were going to serve this as it is, whole, which we're not, we're going to be shredding this. But if you were, then you don't want like somebody to get like one bite with a ton of seasoning and then another bite with no seasoning, right? So rule of thumb for seasoning. Salt, same thing. Okay. And that's it. This is what we're going to do with our fish, and we're going to pop this in the oven. And while it bakes, we're going to set everything else up. So I'm just going to pop this in really quickly. And this should take about 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to set the timer for 10, and then we'll check it and make sure and see if it's ready. So in the meantime, while that's cooking, we're going to make some pico de gallo to go with it. Pico de gallo is just like a rough chopped salsa, kind of. You use a lot of the same ingredients for salsa: tomatoes, jalapeños, onions, and cilantro. And it's just really, instead of blending it all together, it's just a little bit chunky. So it gives like depth of texture to your dish, but it's still really flavorful. So we're only going to use half of this onion. So I'm just going to put that other half in there to get rid of. And then we're going to peel this onion here. Take off the tops there. Okay. And then we're just going to fine chop this because, again, it's going to be kind of chunky, but not too, like, you don't want big chunks of onion, right? So just nice and fine down here like this. and then run your knife across like this, and you just get really nice, even, fine pieces of onion. Okay, and you get a little skin in there every now and then. You just peel that out. It's okay. A little skin never hurt anybody. Okay, so this I'm gonna just throw in my bowl. And then you want to say, like, I have 2 tomatoes here, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use both or not. You really kind of want to make it almost like a 2-to-1 ratio of like tomato to onion, because you know you don't want too much onion, but it's a nice balance. So depending on the size of your tomatoes, you're going to want to kind of gauge, you know, what you have. So I'm just going to cut these into kind of 1/4-inch thick pieces. These are beefsteak tomatoes. I really like them because they don't have a ton of seeds on the inside. Like, they do have some seeds, but not a ton. And so you can put the seeds in your dish, but if you don't want to, then it's not gonna leave too much like extra for you to do. So I'm just gonna cut these into sticks here across. I'm gonna leave whatever seeds are here because there's not that many. But if you used like a Roma tomato or, you know, maybe even a tomato on the vine, they tend to have a little bit more seeds than the big beefsteaks. So I like these tomatoes because they are juicy but not seedy. Okay. And then I'm just going to flip them around again. A nice chop to them. Try to be as even as you can. But, you know, it's also, you know, it's rustic. You don't have to be super perfect with everything. That's what makes cooking fun, you know, and makes cooking flexible because, you know, you adjust to what you have. If all you have is Roma tomatoes, use them. I mean, they're still delicious, but, you know, this might be a little bit more juicy than the beefsteaks. My husband, fun fact, really likes a beefsteak tomato, like for a burger or sandwich. He likes them when they're not quite ripe. They're still a little bit white. So they have a little bit more crisp to them. So I never thought about that. I always thought like, oh, the best tomato is like the juicy tomato, but I actually kind of like a stiffer tomato, which you can see this one's a little bit wider than your standard one. So you see there? So that's what I used here. You see how much tomato that one tomato made? So I'm not going to add the second one. I'm just going to leave this because I'm not making a ton, right? It's just going to be for us. I'm not making a ton of stuff. And then I'm only going to then put 1 jalapeno in there because, again, we want to, well, these are kind of small, actually. I might do both. Let me see how much this gives me first. The good news is that nothing ever goes to waste in this house because we will use this for another dish. We use a lot of peppers in things. Now, I am cutting out the seeds and the rinds on the inside of the jalapeno because that's where all of the heat is really. The flavor is here in the body of the pepper, but the heat is here in the seeds. And so you want to, you know, kind of not make it too hot, but have a little spice. And if a couple seeds get in there, it's fine, but you want to see. Okay, now you want to have even less jalapenos than you have onions in here. Again, just for balance of flavor. But I think I am going to put this other little guy in here because, you know, they're tiny. And my daughter actually won't eat pico de gallo. She'll have the tacos, but for whatever reason, she picks out the tomatoes and onions. She likes tomatoes. Like, she'll eat she'll bite a tomato like you'll bite an apple. But for some reason, she doesn't want to put them on top of her food, you know? So we can make this a little bit more spicier if it does come out to be a little bit more spicier because she's not going to eat it anyway. Okay. All right. So nice fine chop on those jalapenos. And then the last thing that's going to go in this is some cilantro. Now, I've already washed this. I've wash everything, right? I mean, everything's washed. You should just assume, but I hope if you don't assume that you just know, because I'm telling you now, I wash everything before we start filming. But the cilantro, about just like a handful We love cilantro in this household, so if you don't want as much, don't put as much, but this is what gives us this really nice flavor. You know, like if you were to make bruschetta, it's a very similar dish where it's just tomatoes, garlic instead of onions, and basil, and you cut up the basil just like you do the cilantro here. But this is what helps it with this nice pico de gallo. And then I'm going to do half of a lime, and we're going to save this half because we're going to use it when the fish is done. We're going to sprinkle it all over the fish, and I'm just going to squeeze all of that in there as much as we can. All right, if you've got a press, you can use a press, that's fine. And we're going to put about a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of pepper here. Okay, just give it a mix. And this is gonna, what we call marry, or kind of sit and blend in its juices for a little while. The salt will kind of pull some of the juice out of the tomato, and it'll make it really nice and delicious. Okay. All right, so that's it. So that's our pico, really nice, so beautiful. This is gonna be so fresh on top of our, oh, man down, on top of our fish tacos when they're ready. And then the next thing we're gonna do is just a little bit of avocado. Now you could slice this and leave them whole, the avocado, like just in slices if you want to, but I'm going to mash it just a little bit. So I'm just gonna put it right there into my bowl, because this is gonna give it a really nice creamy consistency. You could do this with, you could put sour cream if you want on these tacos. I'm not a big fan of like sour cream or cheese on fish tacos. Shrimp tacos I think go better with sour cream. I think it stands up to the creaminess a little bit more. But for fish tacos, not so much. And I'm just gonna season this a little bit, about 1/8 of a teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/8 of a teaspoon of onion powder, and some salt. And, you know, because I think avocado just goes better with the fish tacos, but that's me. You could try it out. If you guys really love sour cream, put it on your tacos, you know, or cheese, it's fine. I would actually, because it's fish, I would suggest a white cheese, like a Monterey, or a Jack cheese versus like a, just like a straight sharp cheddar. I just think the flavor profile would overwhelm the dish. Okay, so that's that. So I'm just gonna taste this little guacamole here. Perfect. Move these tomatoes here. Perfect. We're rocking and rolling here. And then I'm just gonna chop up some green onions, and this is just gonna go on top just to kind of finish really nicely the tacos right on top, just to give it a nice little bit of crunch for a finish. So we're gonna just kind of put these off here to the side. Is that perfect timing or what? All right, 10 minutes. Let's check them, and then if they're ready, then we'll leave them up. We'll put them out on the side, and then we're gonna toast up our tortillas to put everything together. Okay, so let's see here. So let's see, and what I want to see when I check them is if they flake really easily, even in the thickest part. So let's see here. Whoa, look at that. See how easy that was? It just so easy, just like that with my spatula. So that's done, that's perfect. Nice and golden brown. And so I'm just gonna turn on my comal here. Now, this is a cast iron skillet. If you don't have a cast iron skillet, that's okay. You can just use a regular pan. But I want it to get pretty hot, just because we're not going to take too much time for the tortillas, right? They're already cooked. But you want to take a little bit of the, I I don't know, packaged flavor off of it. Like you want to cook it a little bit, like brown them up, right? So we're just gonna get this little warm and warm these up. This is like very reminiscent for me, as I've said to a lot of people, but if you don't know, I grew up in a half Italian, half Mexican household. And so my Mexican part of the family, my grandma used to do the tortillas on, we call this the comal, and you know, she used to leave one just for herself, like at the end when she would like heat all the tortillas up for everybody, she would leave one for herself to be like extra crispy for some reason. And so it just, I don't know, whenever I'm like heating up tortillas, for some reason that one memory always pops into my brain, which is like, you know, I love my grandma. I'll have to call her later. She's tell her that I always think about her with that. Now, you don't necessarily have to use your hands. I'm very comfortable with using my hands, right? But you want to be very careful. Don't burn yourself. So if you want to use tongs for this step, please use tongs. If you're not as comfortable, but I have been doing this way, just my culture, just growing up that way my whole life. So I'm very comfortable just flipping them around, okay? And so I'm just warming them through really and getting them nice and warm. Now I'm also using the white corn tortillas. I happen to like them. Yellow corn is just as fine. I think it goes really nice with fish tacos, but my husband would beg to differ. He hates corn tortillas in general, so I'll be making some flour tortillas for him. I'll be warming those up for him so that he can enjoy this dish as well. But I think corn tortillas works really well here. But you know, you can do your own if you need gluten-free, if you need they have these really awesome like cassava flour tortillas that I've been trying recently. I find them at Whole Foods. And they just, I don't know, they heat up really nicely. They have a really good like texture to them, but they're gluten-free because I need gluten-free options, which is why corn works for me, right? I don't know, maybe I've just trained myself to like it because it's gluten-free and I have to eat it, but I think they taste delicious, corn tortillas. All right. I also have this really fun little taco holder. I have a bunch of them that we use for taco nights, and so I would, any chance I get to bring it out, I do. But you could just put them flat on the dish, you know, if you don't have a taco holder. But I'll put a link. These are really cheap. I'll put a link to where I found them on Amazon for you if you want to get yourself some fun little taco holders for taco night for you guys. They look really cool when you put them out. Like if you have friends over, margaritas, it's a cute little presentation. And just soft enough that they're workable, you know, that they're pliable, because especially corn tortillas, they can be a little bit, when they're like in their raw, you know, quote unquote raw form, like they're cooked, but like raw form, right, without heating them up, they can be a little bit stiff. And so they tend to, you know, break a little bit easier. So, all right. So we're going to put this all together, and, trying to think where I'm going to put this. Yeah, we're going to put this all together over here in our dish. You want to follow me over here. So we're just going to put this out of the way, and I'm going to grab a towel to protect my counter. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm just going to take in this bowl. I'm going to put the fish just right here in this bowl, because remember, we're going to flake this up, and we're going to squeeze a little bit of that lime onto the fish to just finish it. Really nice. So we're just going to break it up because it's so easy. It's so moist. Oh my gosh. This is going to taste so good. Those flavors really permeate. Like I said, tilapia is a very cheap fish, but it absorbs flavor really, really well. So see, that's all I'm going to do there. And then I'm going to squeeze this lime right into the bowl. The half a lime, I should say. Okay. And then give it another mix. If you wanted to use any whitefish, really, cod or even halibut would be good. And you could fry this up. Obviously, you wouldn't do this if you fried the fish. You would leave them more in like whole pieces. But this just makes for a really nice dish. All right. So let's put this together. So we're going to start, I like to start putting my avocado in the bottom just because it really makes sure you get like a good bite of it with every piece. So avocado on the bottom. You can put it with any order that you want. Okay, fish on top of that. These taco holders also make it very easy to like fill your tacos, right? You're not making a big old mess. Oh, I'm still making a mess, but not as much as a mess. Okay, and fill them up however much you want. You know, it's just me and my husband and my daughter, right, who's a toddler. So we just got 2 pieces of tilapia. If that was, you know, what we would have for dinner whole, we would each eat a piece, you know, together and then just share with her. But, you know, if you need more, you need more. And then we're going to put the pico de gallo on top of that. Okay. Oh, I can't wait to take a bite of this. All right, and then just a little bit of green onion on top of that. And that's it, guys. Super fast, super easy, delicious fish tacos. I'm gonna take a bite here, just how it all comes together. Perfect. The chili powder, the fish bite, the creaminess of the avocado, the crunch of the tomato, like everything just works together so perfectly. Super fast weekday meal. I mean, you watch this in real time, guys. This is it, you know. So I hope you make it. I hope you love it. Let me know if you do try it in the comments. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one. See you later. For more recipes like this, please like or subscribe to my channel.